Yes, everybody, welcome back. It is 4 o'clock. That means it is time for the Home-brew this time around. The Home-brew. Are you having that? Home-brew.
Yes, I'm definitely having that, mate. How's things going? You okay?
I'm all right. So today, joining me, we have got, I was just jumping over to YouTube to make sure that it is actually going live. But today, joining me, I've got the elusive Joe McGrath.
Orange cordial.
Orange cordial, nice. I'm on a brew. And we have got Kieran as well. What's happening, brothers? Everyone well?
Still brewing. Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, good, Steve.
Hanging in
Is
there.
that an actual pint of tea?
It is an actual pint of
Let's
tea
have a
as
look at
well.
that.
We don't do any half measures here.
Wow, that's
To
a
put
lot
it
of
into
tea.
perspective, the size of my actual head.
If you had one sugar in a tea, how much would you put in a pint?
A fistful. I think that's the only way to measure it. A fistful.
A fistful? Fucking hell. That's a
Fistful
lot
of sugar.
What about your rum there behind you, Steve? You've got a lot of rum knocking about behind your head.
Should we solo it so everyone can see? So
Nice.
Oh, love it. Transitions.
Transitions are cool.
You better believe we're going to be all over them.
There we go.
Because we are back on that StreamYard hype.
Yeah, it's very good,
also,
this.
Some of the stuff I can do, like, let's find this one. Like that. I can bring in YouTube comments. Gaboosh.
Oh, there we go.
On the screen. Gaboosh. Like that.
I'm going to put in a comment there saying I'm looking sexy.
Gaboosh.
If you want to put that up there for us, Steve. Seen that? Yeah.
No, not
nice.
yet.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's there. It's definitely there.
See how fast that is? That's actually ridiculously fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very quick. Very quick.
Right then.
What
Go on, Kieran. What are you saying?
I was just going to say, what app is this? Is it what's it called? Streamster or something like that?
StreamYard.
Asking dead technical questions.
One of the big questions been asked.
Dom says the term easily amused springs to mind. Shouldn't you be asleep? Everyone who knows
why
will know why. Because the guy's on like reverse cycle. He's off his head.
Dom
he is
needs to do
nocturnal there, Dom.
Dom needs to do something for me. I'll DM him in a bit, Dom.
Right. Where do we even start? Do we even acknowledge the fact that we're on lockdown and that's why it's a homebrew? Do we even do that?
Maybe. I mean, maybe someone might stumble upon this video in 20 years' time and wonder why we.
All right.
Outside and we can't literally get out. But apart from that,
Joe, you just totally froze then as you started talking.
Yeah.
So do you want to try that again?
That's upsetting, isn't it? Yeah, I was just saying, just in case anyone watches this video in 20 years' time, they can look back at this and see why we were drinking orange cordial, a pint of tea, and you were sat in your rum room. Did you call it your rum room?
No, I don't. Maybe I'm going to start, though.
Do
you know what I did today? I ordered a beard trimmer. Now, I haven't touched my beard personally for years. My barber does it every 2 weeks. Just get a nice little line up, all neatened up, all the rest of it. Wouldn't know where to start, to be honest with you. But I thought, you know what? Come the apocalypse, I am going to have to take care of my own beard here, I reckon. I can see it coming. So, on the recommendation of your boy, Adam Brown's.
Oh, yeah.
Get a wall, set of clippers. So, bought some. Should be here tomorrow on Amazon Prime. I'm going to try and shape it up myself a little bit. Just the bottom of the.
Is anyone considering going out short back in size because of this lockdown with all the barbers shut?
Was getting to that, and I think clippers are coming. Like, it's okay. It's getting a bit unruly, but
I think you look good, Steve. Keep it, man. I think there's going to be a lot of crazy people who do this. Kieran, you should get yours done, but Steve,
I think mine's looking a bit long. Yeah. You're considering it, definitely.
Definitely keep it, Steve.
I'm definitely considering going full wazzed off, mate. We're in war mode. Don't need no time for hair.
What hair did you have in the army, Steve? Did you go full war mode then?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, for Iraq and Afghanistan, just shave your head. Why
just shave? Oh, wow.
Yeah, just shave your head. One less thing to worry about. Don't need it. Shave your head.
I did not know that.
Yeah, totally. Shave your head. Right, so we are going to be talking about that. There's been sort of some attempts at breaking news coming through, hasn't there? Which is really welcome. I'm going to be honest with you. We've needed it.
Yeah.
But there does seem to be a little bit of breaking news coming through, which is talking about transfers. So Not getting into the will there be a transfer window, won't there be a transfer window, none of that shit. Just straight up on the assume everything's going to find itself sorted and it'll all come out in the wash. There's a couple of transfers that need to be made. 2 for me that would absolutely blow the socks off a lot of shit would be Sancho and Saúl Ñíguez. Now, there's not really been... No one's told me, so anyone thinking like, oh, Steve, you knew all along, didn't. Just liked him, right? Just really liked... I mean, there's been some word on Sancho, admittedly, but nothing on Saúl Ñíguez. Just a player I really liked. So I can't help but get extremely excited when I see the sort of reports that have been coming out. So, Kieran, there was some earlier today, I believe, wasn't there? Do you want to roll us with this?
Well, yeah, there's stuff earlier today. I mean, Joe covered it in the news as well, kind of people claiming that Sancho unofficially signs for United. There's been a couple more stuff as well breaking since then. One of his youth coaches at Watford, Lewis Lancaster, Watford youth coach, has come out and kind of claim that Sancho isn't really one of those players to rest on his laurels and sit where he is. Obviously, what's he got? 18 goals, 17 assists in all competitions for Dortmund this season, which is amazing numbers, especially when you consider what he's just barely out of nappies at this stage. His coach, who coached him at under-13s at Watford, said today, I always ask players, what's the dream? From a young age, he made it very clear he wanted to play for his country and represent Europe's biggest clubs and make his family proud. He's not the sort of character to sit back and say, I've done it now, life's complete. I bet you any money he's got some challenges in his head. He could play for any club in Europe, and winning is an unbelievable feeling, but the sort of character is he's got a sight set on individual targets as well. Haven't spoken to him about it, but I reckon somewhere in his head is a Ballon d'Or. It's important in life to have something to chase, and I think that might be something he's chasing. So maybe nothing official, linking to United, but all indications point at this stage when you hear what the Dortmund hierarchy are saying, that they are not confident in keeping him this summer. And I think it's an all but conclusion he will be leaving, especially after the season he's having. And you look at all indications point that England's the most likely option, and United as well, given not only the fact that it probably suits him, given we're lacking a right-sided midfielder, he's also pretty tight with the majority of United players in the England squad as well, if you've seen all the clips going around. Yeah. But everything kind of pointing in that direction where he is not going to be wearing the yellow and black of Dortmund next season. That seems to be for sure.
Joe,
crazy.
What's your thoughts on that?
It's my thoughts in general about the actual time that current big bosses are in at United and across world football. Is you've got to think, when has there been a moment where football people can sort of sit back and literally have nothing on? I know the summer transfer window happens every year, but there's stuff going on there. We have literally got a break, and I don't think this might have happened for years and years and years, maybe since the war, or for Manchester United's case, Munich. There's time for really these big football people to get their heads in order and maybe start to do business like this, and hopefully start to get the ball rolling. So when the summer transfer window comes, hopefully if it does come, or what might be a different summer transfer window altogether, the deals can be made slicker. There's a lot of free time on people's hands. There's a lot of emails. There's a lot of good apps where people can connect via different parts of the world and they can chat to each other. Hopefully the movements are being made now, and you wish that, there's a lot of United fans calling for him. There's a lot of love between there. There's a lot of potential chemistry with other players we've got in the United team. I'd be buzzing, and so would everyone watching this right now, to see that deal being made first of all. And if it's made at, like, say, as soon as United get given the go ahead, then we all know that this was the time that the conversations were flowing, and hopefully, little bits of all the little clauses that come with a big move like that are being talked about now. Because then as soon as we get him in, as soon as he can get mixing with our players, and we can absolutely get buzzing for what's going to happen next season. Is there going to be a next season? I mean, we were talking about it, aren't we? But it could be.
You have to plan like it's going to be.
Yeah, you have to. We have to plan like it's going to be.
Right. Does he immediately solve the right-wing problem? He's one of the elite ones in the world, surely. I mean, you can dismiss that the Dutch league, the German league. I was going to say Deutschland league, but I'm not going to get it. The German league. All right, it might not be the most elite league in the world, but he's still doing it, right? And Bruno came from not the most elite league in the world, and he's still doing it. Those numbers have literally translated, which nobody thought would. What if Sancho comes and does the numbers that he's been doing over in Germany?
I mean, when you look at the fact, in my opinion, people, may write off the standard of the Bundesliga. I think if you're going to get anywhere that's as close to English football in Europe, it is the Bundesliga. 14 goals, 16 assists, and 23 league games this season as well. He's got the style of English football under his belt. Let's not forget he was playing in England up until 2017 as well. And there's hard. You look at the 2 years ago, you look at the profile of player that he is. I can't think of another target or maybe profile of player that fits as better than Jadon Sancho as well. And it looks like I don't want to say he wants to play for the club, but all indications point that United is, we've heard through the grapevine as well, is where he wants to go. Listen to what Fabrizio Romano was saying on an Instagram Live. I think he was saying that what was it? Talks are ongoing, something like that. And the figure that's been bounced around is 100 million euro now. So what would that be, about 90 million?
Yeah.
90, we'll say. So you're going to smash the Pogba record there. Given that, on top of the fact he's probably going to be given that Omen, number 7 shirt at this stage, that's cursed a lot of players before him. All indications, it probably has everything set up to be a failure. But honest, I really, really think that this is definitely the number one target. Hopefully not the Lick 2.0, but 100% has to be the number one target for this summer.
I've got Romano coming on the warm down next week.
Oh, seriously?
He messaged us yesterday, yeah. So I'm really excited about that because he's mega in a transfer window of late, isn't he? He's absolutely banging. So
100%.
I was wanting to go and catch a game out in Milan with him. That was the plan, was to go watch a game over there in Milan with another one of my mates, and the guy that actually has his contact. And obviously with that not happening, I said, just give us his details. Let me message him. So dropped him a line and he's hit us back and he's like, yeah, I'd love to. So we'll be sorting that out for next week. Get him on, have a chat, see what he knows. Just chat to him in general. So if you've got some questions for him, like leave them in the comments and stuff like that, and I'll make sure we get them onto him. Right, the other one then that we're potentially linked with. What was the news today on Saúl Ñíguez?
Well, basically, it's what the Daily Mail are running with this as well. He's been labelled as a prime target for United this summer, but this is basically predicated on whether the fact Paul Pogba, whether he'll stay or go. So it's kind of been, high-profile news that Saúl's got that 9-year contract in his name down at Atletico. He signed in 2017. That obviously runs till 2026.
Crazy time.
It's ridiculous. That's Alan Pardew levels of insanity. Remember when he was given that contract at Newcastle? But basically, the buyout clause is 135 million, which is what they set in 2017. And obviously, that seemed like a crazy number at the time. But obviously, with the way the market has shifted and moved since then, 135 million for a 25-year-old who's proven in Spain doesn't really seem that insane. Maybe he's not, the be-all and end-all elite level. Maybe there are better midfielders out there for him, but if you look at the profile of player he is, he's got everything as well.
I think he's definitely elite.
I mean,
he's got on under Herrera in terms of what he does with the ball. 100%. I think physicality. I think fitness, speed. I think he's just the evolution of Ander Herrera, and I think he would suit this team. I think he suits English football. I can't tell you how much I rate the guy. Love him.
But then, where does it? I mean, the big question there for Kieran, but it's one or the other. Maybe in terms of if he comes in, someone's got to leave in a way. Don't get me wrong, I love them all to stay. Let's all just have some unbelievable midfield. But in terms of finances, etc., do you not think?
No, I don't think there's a definite need that people need to go. Apart from, in my head, I'll caveat this by saying I already think Pogba's gone. Right.
Okay.
Or trying.
I think we can all agree on that at this stage.
And I think that Sancho and Niguez, if they were both to happen in one window, that the caveat is Paul Pogba's gone.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain of that. So you would have to say, right, that them two are only happening. I don't know which one. You would assume the Niguez one perhaps rests on it more than the Sancho one because there is a glaring hole on the right wing. So maybe the Niguez one is a little bit more predicated on that. But aside from that, where do you think this leaves Manchester United for next season? Presuming it starts in, let's say everything gets sorted out in the next 2 months. We go in August, the transfer window happens at normal. We bring Sancho in, we bring Niguez in, we lose Pogba. Where does that leave Manchester United for next season, in your opinion, Joe? And then the same
It leaves us in a very good position to hopefully. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but you're hoping
just a straight trouble then. You think?
Yeah, maybe straight trouble. I mean, if we're not pushing, if we're not comfortably in a top 4 position, then there'll be massive question marks brought up, and there'll be a lot of unhappy fans. But I think when Solskjaer, when what he's done with the people he has bought, he has bought quite well. You'd say James is probably the weakest of what he brought in. That's because the others in the summer were just incredibly gifted. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's proved himself to be unbelievable. Maguire's sitting in the role as captain nicely. He's maturing. There's been some wobbles, but I've really thought that as the games go on, you can really see that he could be a future United captain for years now. So obviously, and Bruno Fernandes as well has come in and lit the place up. So the players that do come into United are actually making a big difference. So if he isolates 2 key areas of the pitch and spends a ridiculous amount of money on both, but that's the current market, isn't it? And with Manchester United, we can afford it. Then you'd hope that everything that's been missing this last season, all the draws, all the disappointments of smaller teams getting something against us, that's ruled out by this class that's brought in. And this class is hopefully in the form of 2 players that we've talked about. And you hope then, I'm not going to say that we're going to win the Premier League next year. We've still got a couple of seasons to really just get the chemistry right and have teams playing unbelievable football. You hope then we're in an incredible position with players coming back from injury. Rashford, I'm just so excited to see that guy. He's all over the news today because he's an absolute legend. He's a hero that needs to be on the back of every paper for what he's doing at the minute. But I really hope that we can see United really now go, right, let's up a gear and let's take it. Let's see what the Premier League's got to offer. But top 4, hopefully, no. I really think with them 2 players coming in, top 4 is a must. It's guaranteed in a way.
Kieran, what do you reckon? How do we look as a squad with those?
No, just echoing on what Joe was saying as well. I think it leaves us in a fantastic position, and as well, you can't expect immediate success going into next season as well. I don't think any of us are under the impression. I mean, we look a lot better team with Bruno in it now, but Bruno itself isn't the answer. You obviously said bringing in Sancho and Saúl, if they do come in, obviously that's a massive bonus as well. But what I'm more kind of interested in as well is kind of the depth and the other areas that we're going to add, maybe not necessarily starters, but bringing in that backup centre back, those backup midfielders, because at the end of the day, we're a team that haven't had the best luck with injury as well. So, I mean, I even said at the start of this season, when we were dropping, those points at the start of the season, we have the makings of a real, maybe not title contending squad yet. But if you have players that aren't injured, likes of Pogba, Rashford, Martial, all fit, on top of that, you add Saúl, Sancho as well. It's a frightening prospect. But again, it takes time for players like that to gel as well. You're not going to expect, I wouldn't expect Sancho to be replicating maybe the same numbers he's putting in the Bundesliga now next season, because they are absolutely ludicrous. It's 43. It's an exciting prospect. Look, I think, like you said, Steve, it is all depending on whether these players get over the line, because where have we been before when we've talked about how Haaland's going to fit into the team, how De Ligt's going to fit into the team, when all those players have seen foregone conclusions now at this stage. But I think if we were to get Sancho and Saúl under the belt, even at the expense of Paul Pogba, I think that's a massively successful summer as well. You're taking one phenomenal world-class player out of the team, but you're improving the squad as a whole. So I look, as much as we may say United make us pull our hair out at times, each season, it's getting there. It's getting there. The players are coming in that are getting you off your seat and getting excited. We saw it last season with Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, and now Bruno coming in. So, look, a few more years maybe before the T word starts to get thrown around.
On question then. Oh, sorry.
Before you speak, I'm going to say, lads, get your questions in, and we'll bring some of them on screen, and we'll answer them.
Great.
This next point. Go on.
What do you think? So you get them 2 in, the fingers crossed or touch wood, whatever you've got in front of you. Agallo, does he fit in the United squad next season? Do you spend money? How much realistically would he cost if we try and get him on a permanent? I've literally no idea.
I don't think it'd be massively expensive, but I think Ighalo would be a fantastic addition to the squad. I think he'd be second choice to Tony.
Yeah.
But what a brilliant guy to bring on with 30 minutes to go, to see a game out. A guy that starts the cup games, gives Tony a night off. I think that the utilization of a squad in the modern game, especially in a team that presses hard, which is what I think we're trying to be. I think he's so important. You have a night off tonight. Okay, cool. Marcus, you have a night off tonight. All right, cool. Jadon, you have a night off tonight because Dan James is going to take it.
Yeah,
Or even, whatever. Mason, you're on the left tonight.
Mason's on the left.
Options. Having options. And it's not just options for rotation. It's options for when those inevitable injuries hit. An injury hits. Let's say there's also talk of Grealish. Supposedly Grealish was United's number one thing. Yeah.
He's been in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
But let's just say you had someone like him in the mix as well. As for all the comments for Harry Kane, I'm not even entertaining the thought Harry Kane's coming. I'm not having that in the slightest. Although, can you imagine a United player did a live stream the way Harry Kane did and was like,
I was going to say,
I'm fucking going, lads, basically.
Yeah, crazy that. It's crazy. I don't know who was looking after him at that point. I really don't know what the PR behind that one was, why he did it, but crazy thing to watch. Wild.
Madness. Right, keep getting your comments in. Bit of a call out. Let's have a look at that. Cam says, Kieran, you got to stop ducking me on FIFA. Oh, madness.
Hold on. Can I just say that I've got FIFA at the minute? I'm shocking, but give me about a month and I'll be all right.
Oh, wrong one. That wasn't the one I wanted. These are moving a little bit fast. Hang on. Kieran's literally just left. Just me and you, brother.
Oh, is it? Kieran gone?
When is episode 2 of Footy Manager dropping? I sent it to Adam earlier to edit, but it's like 9 gigs, so I'm hoping for Thursday. There we go. Let's read this one. I read an article saying Van Gaal signed 14 players in 2 years. Romero, Marshall, Shaw only left. I just hope they back Ollie that much. Agreed. Cam says he got scared of my call out. Wonder if his phone died, because he said he was on his phone, didn't he?
Yeah, or his internet might have just gone.
Device not connected. He's just popped up back in here. Let's see if he comes on. When do I think Greenwood starts to demand starts? It might be very soon, in all honesty. Let's add him back in. Hello, son.
He's loading.
Yeah, he's not quite there, is he? Let's leave
we'll be all
right. Do we need to look at a new keeper now? De Gea performances with Henderson there. De Gea's performance, what do you think on that?
I think De Gea still gets it for me. Does De Gea make way this summer to get a bit of transfer money in the pot? That could be something, you're telling me a PSG or a Juventus might not want to come in for him and really sign him on a big money deal.
I mean, that's it. I mean, we might have seen some of the mistakes he's made, and there might be
a
perception of those mistakes for De Gea, but does that perception exist across Europe? That's what we can't really answer, innit?
I don't think so. I mean, you look at, I think a big club could still spend good money on De Gea, and I think he'd still do a job. I as a United fan, if De Gea left, I'd honestly just say he's been unbelievable for the club. I'll remember him for the good times. For a goalkeeper, he's had a roller coaster season, but I will not let it be that this is the season we remember him on. We remember him for the times that he's kept us afloat, the years where he won player of the season. And you know what? He could be quite an attractive prospect. He could get a bit of money, and if that money can be then used on the two players we talked about previously, in Sancho and you think, well, that's a good move for United.
Here's a question. What do you think will happen to Lingard? Kieran, what's your thoughts on
that? I've always been, and I think I speak for a lot of people on the channel, I've always been kind of a defender, maybe, of Jeffy Lingard's heavy critics. But I think, unfortunately, all indications are kind of pointing now that he won't be at the club next season. You look at the fact that I think Raiola's been hired as his agent, or at least an advisor or something like that to, lack of game time as well, lack of involvement in the squad with Bruno coming in, even Pereira's got the boot as well. I think I'd be shocked if I didn't see Jesse Lingard playing for someone like Inter Milan or AC Milan next season, because, that seems to be the most likely destination, which is pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. I mean, he's gotten a lot of stick, whether it be for people, for his actions on social media, which I deem harmless, to be honest, but it's just not worked out for him in the last 2 seasons. I mean, it looked fantastic when he scored, the double under Ollie in his first game. But it's just, he's a confidence player, isn't he? And I've never seen a player quite lacking confidence like him as well. He was known as the big game player, but unfortunately, I'd be shocked if he's kept around for next season.
It might be to do what he wants to do as well. If he wants to go, he's coming into in a stage of his career now where he's got maybe how many years left. You might want to go really play some first team football and make an impact in a team that needs him, because you might not just get into the United squad at the minute, and we're only going to get better. So go to another squad and absolutely tear things up. If he's got the confidence to do it, just do it.
Yeah, I've got a question here on the screen. Why do we need Sancho? Greenwood will be ready for the right wing in 2 years. Greenwood isn't a right winger. Greenwood's playing on the right wing at the moment to allow him to develop in the first team before he eventually starts putting on pressure on whoever the number 9 is in, I would say, 3 to 4 years. He's going to come in, he's going to play off the striker. He's going to play as a striker in some of the smaller games. He's going to play 10 minutes as a striker later on. He's going to start on the right wing and he's going to move inside. There's going to be a lot of Thierry Henry sort of comparisons made, obviously the opposite wing, but I think you're going to see a lot of comparisons with that side of game for him, whereas he's quick without looking like he's really blisteringly fast. You're going to see this, obviously the RVP sort of style of movements that you've seen off him, the comparisons with those. Like, he is going to be a proper centre forward.
Yeah.
We're seeing him develop on the wing. And I don't have an issue with that, to be honest. I think he offers a lot, and I think he brings a lot to being a striker in terms of his creativity. Like, he had half as many assists as he had goals, which was more than a goal a game. So it was just over an assist a game as well. So considering someone was putting in them sort of numbers in terms of goals, his chance creation for others was off the charts. It was so good. And what he did at academy level, considering Sancho's only, I think, 18-month older, what he did at academy level, you can't even compare to what Sancho did. And Sancho did it in a very, very good City team with Diaz and with Foden and some other real good players in that City team. Greenwood was excellent in a United team, but the numbers that he put up completely dwarfed what Sancho was putting up. And then you've seen what Sancho's gone on and done with regular first team minutes. I know Mönchengladbach came in and asked to loan him, but United just laughed at him. They're like, you're not fucking getting him on loan, mate. And this was when he was 17 as well. So, like, they're not... I think they're managing his transition into being a first-team player as well as anybody I've seen. And I'm really excited for what happens to him eventually going forward, because, I think he's a proper top talent. All right. That's for you two fuckers to jump in.
Sorry. Oh, was it really?
Sorry.
It was just to jump in. Sorry about that. I just thought you had a really good, nice little rant. I thought that's a classic Howson. I'll leave him to it. And then I was like, oh, he stopped. And then I thought Kieran's going to butt in, but then you started going all wild. Kieran, you can go. You say this.
I'll jump in. Don't worry. No worries, Joe. I think that Greenwood, one of the biggest pluses we can take out of this season. I think we would have been. I think we would have been happy if Greenwood managed to get maybe 5 goals, 5 assists under his belt in the limited minutes we knew he'd play this season. What's he got? Like 12 goals in all competitions across Premier League, League Cup, FA Cup, and Europa League. I think the end game is for him to play as a centre forward or an out-and-out striker as well. But I think to throw, like you said, Steve, an 18-year-old lad who's only turned 18 into an out-and-out Premier League centre forward is just not a reality. He doesn't have the physicality at the moment. I mean, just look at Marcus. Just look at Marcus for an example. When he made his debut in the Europa League, physically how he's developed since then, it's a completely different type of player as well. And I think that's the end game. What they haven't, ridiculous shot up, and he's put on insane amount of mass as well. I think that's the end goal for Mason as well. And I think he's got that. I mean, he's got that fearless streak, and I think not a lot of young players have that as well. They come into the Premier League, they're intimidated. He doesn't seem to have any sort of fear about him at all. I don't expect him to be going into the first team maybe next year. I think 2 or 3 seasons till he's about 20, 21, and that's when a player really starts to hit their stride, and it should be in first team football, especially for player Greenwood's capabilities as well.
Right then, the Festival of Football. So this got reported over the weekend.
Here we go.
No coincidence, I don't think, after Howson and McCullough uncensored on Full-Time Doubles last week, where I said, why don't you do like a Festival of Football and you just have everyone at one location? I don't think they're talking about that. I said do it at St. George's Park. Now, to make that, like, don't copy me homework. They've said they'll just do it in the Midlands, right? Where's St George's Park again? Thought so. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so what's your thoughts on that one? Where they're going to like broadcast multiple games a day, like in the World Cup. This shows me where football's soul really lies, or who 100% masters are, and it's TV. TV are going, we pay you $5 billion a year. We want our fucking pound of flesh, mate. And everyone's flapped and gone, fuck, how do we get them what they want rather than why one? I mean, yes, we have to talk about football. This is a football channel, allegedly. So we have to talk about football. That's what we're here to do. And I understand that people are like, well, you lot are fucking talking about football. Yeah, we are. But we're not going to make people endanger themselves to play the game. We're literally talking to each other on Skype, everyone individually isolating. When we say the game coming back, the caveat I put on it was you have to make sure that it's safe to do so. If all of the players are totally isolated and all of the staff that are going to be there are totally isolated, is it possible that you can put everybody at St George's Park and then admit no people? And then after everyone's been there a couple of weeks, which is the incubation period for this virus, then you can say, okay, well, it's safe now. Everybody in here is clear and doesn't have the virus. No one in, no one out for 2 weeks, almost like a prison.
It's a lot of people. Lockdown.
It's a hell of a lot of people. But if you did it in a centralized location, that little stadium that's at St George's Park, you only need one set of camera crew, and they can send a feed out, and they can do your 4 or 5 matches a day. You only need to have like one team of referees, although you would generally probably have 5 or 6, I imagine. Yeah. But like they're all there. Your VAR types, everything is there. The administrators are there. The St John's ambulance or the ambulance crews, which is a piss take that you're going to take these away from people that are fucking dying. But you've got people there that can man that thing. So all of those things become easier for me. This is what I was thinking. If you make it one location, if you say we're going to play it in the Midlands and we're going to play at the City Ground and we're going to use Villa Park and we're going to use Birmingham and we're going to use Derby and well, you're still spreading everything around. Now you need coach drivers. Now you're going to inconvenience the traffic, although there's a lot of traffic. But you got these different stewards at this ground. There's all of the different multiples happen every time you have to open a new ground. But if you just did it in one location, for me, yes, there's hotel staff, but I'm sure they'd be happy of the work at the moment. And the same thing, I think you could get hotel staff. You say, right, how about this? Does everyone want to stay here for 2 weeks? Hotel staff. And they'll be like, yeah, I do. Because otherwise, what am I just doing? Staying at home and not working? Or stay here. Now, some people won't. They've got kids and things like that. They'll be like, well, I can't do that. That's fine. But I'm sure you could find enough waiters, hotel staff, cleaners, etc., that would be willing to quarantine themselves at St. George's Park for a couple of weeks to facilitate this. Like I said, though, the caveat of all of this is that it doesn't impact anything else and the treatment of one individual in the country.
Yeah.
If they're able to manage it through people that are private doctors or whatever, fine. Otherwise, this is a fucking horrific idea and they're only doing it to make sure they don't have to pay Sky back, because that was something I read in the first week of all of this happening. That if they don't complete the season, they have to pay Sky a sizable chunk of their revenue back. And maybe I think that was one of the reasons why when it all broke, when they had that little meeting and there wasn't one person suggested not playing the season and cancelling it. That's why.
Yeah, 100%. Money talks. I'd love to see what timeline they're thinking here as well. Obviously, we're getting so many different messages from the government about when we could be getting things back to normal. If things start to get back to normal and then this festival of football happens, it could be chaos. We could be working and a lot of people do 9 to 5s. You could be grafting, whatever. And you've got United versus Chelsea happening at 1, but you can't watch it because you're stuck in, doing your work, getting things back to normal. So I love the idea. If the idea is that we're still okay taking government's advice, staying inside, only going to work if 100% you're a key worker necessary, and then the festival of football's on, don't get me wrong, I'll be bouncing. Like, if there's football on all day, we'll all be happy and we'll get through it. I'm sure we will. But if things go back to normal and everyone's back in work and the fans can't even watch the games, they're just doing it to give the TV people, a bit of, there's your matches. That's when it goes downhill for me, this idea. And that's when it really just does show you, Steve, like you're talking about. And I think we all know it, that money talks in a big, big, big way. But there's something quite exciting and maybe a bit positive of this World Cup atmosphere. The World Cup comes around, it's a month, it blows you away, you play there's unbelievable amounts of football, there's quality on show, you get together with your mates, you have an unbelievable time, and it goes and you miss it for 4 years. If that can somehow really come together in like a Premier League style, we will all have an amazing time if it's safe to do so. But everything has to be safe. Money can't talk in this situation. The safety, and we've also got to think about the fans as well, us watching it. But it could be an unbelievable time for a football fan, or they could just get it completely wrong and muck the whole thing up. It's a fine line. But these guys, the CEOs, get paid a lot of money to do this kind of judge-making decisions. They get paid a fucking fortune. Go make the right decision for the fans and not for your back pockets. But we all know it's not going to be that way.
Kira, what do you reckon?
I think we're in a position now. I mean, the question was, and I agree, definitely the whole Sky TV revenue thing plays a part in it. But I think at the end of the day, the only way to solve this is finishing the season. I don't think you can let this just void it out or anything like that. I mean, Steve Bruce was saying this morning, he agrees with the whole Festival of Football idea. He was saying if we play 10 to 15 games in December at the start of January, we can do it to get the season finished and stuff like that. So it's got the back of a lot of Premier League managers as well. But for me, again, you talk about, getting the football back, the atmosphere back. Again, you have to think of the clubs as well. I mean, there's this whole narrative of will Liverpool give them the league or whatever, this, that, and the other. You got to look at teams at the bottom of the table as well. They call the playoff final in the Championship the most expensive game of football because staying in the Premier League is such a financial asset for a lot of clubs in general as well. I mean, what Aston Villa, as it stands, would go down even though they have a game in hand as well. And the only way of solving that would be to play these last few games, whether that's behind closed doors or not. Games have to be played. There's no fair on anyone. Dare I say, even Liverpool fans at the end of the day, they've been 25 points clear, and I'm sure they don't want an asterisk next to them for history to say, yeah, well, you won the league, but you didn't win the league because you didn't play all your games as well. No, I think this festival of football seems to be the most rational idea I've heard so far as to maybe how to finish the season and make everyone happy as well. To have a definitive answer for everyone to get some sort of revenue in the door.
If that coincided with us being let out as well, I'd say what, the economy's back by Monday morning. Because I know everyone, even if there's no fans there, every pub is going to get rammed. Do you know what we saw with the supermarkets being cleared out? It's going to look like that, but for beer. Right? You're not going to be able to find a beer. You're going to see black market beer being sold. I've got a crate of Budweiser. What do you reckon? $3,500.
Yeah, a lot.
People are going to go absolutely gaga for it, and we're going to kickstart the economy through beer. That's what we're going to do.
Do we know how many games are actually left in the Premier League as a whole?
Well, every club's got around
10 games. Fucking hell.
8 or 9 games. So that
it could be like 8 or 9 games.
If United went the distance in 3 competitions, obviously we've got a set number of games in the league, but if we went the distance in the others, I think it's 18 games.
Wow.
That's not like, just finish the season. That's like 4 months.
Some festival, that. That's crazy amount of football.
Imagine that we do our Festival of Football. We come like 4th in the league after our Festival of Football. Now we've got our FA Cup Festival, which I think you probably do over a weekend. We've got our Europa League Festival, and we smash all 3 of them out of the park. Oh, I'll tell you what, there won't be a sober United fan in the fucking country. It'd be mint.
Crazy. Love it. Class.
Right, on that note, shall we wrap it up?
Yes. I've loved this. I love talking about football. I've missed it.
Joe, you got a new podcast, haven't you? Where can we find it?
It's called The Premium Pod. If you search the Premium Podcast, you'll find it. Hit subscribe. I've got another episode coming out tomorrow, so do go check it out. Thank you very much.
All right, Kieran, have you been doing some writing for us?
Yes, that's the plan anyway. A few more articles to be done today with some actual transfer news, given the Sancho stuff as well. So that'll be pumped out as well. Make sure to check that out on Twitter as well. So keep an eye out.
Buzzing. Make sure you subscribe to Full Time Devils. Go check out Joe's podcast. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but we do have writing stuff, and it's over on Sports Illustrated. We'll bang the link in there.
Stretford Paddock, you said Full Time Devils.
Did I?
Yeah. Because we're nearly at 40k. Look, it's nearly at 40k.
Yeah, nearly at 40K.
Just
Give us a subscribe. What
hit
the
the
fuck?
fucking
I'm not
subscribe
saying-
button.
Look,
Hit the
I
subscribe
speak a
button.
lot. Can't believe I speak for a living. Right. Make sure to go and subscribe to everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. There's some very exciting things about to be happening, possibly before football comes back. And boy, do we need that. But cheers for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.
Bye.